Hello, how are you doing, Rashmi? Uh-oh, you're on mute.
Classic. How are
Ah,
you?
I'm doing well. Let me
Good.
just realize my headphones are not the current audio device. Where are we here? Earbuds. Testing. Can you say something now?
Can you hear me now?
Ah, interesting. It's not
We can
going
hear
through.
you.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you can hear me. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Oh, there we go. Testing.
Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
perfect. You're in my earbud now.
Good.
All
Awesome.
right. I don't know how many people we're going to have here. The invitation was actually sent out yesterday. And that was after a little bit of a break during June. So I see
Oh,
we
okay.
have Mai here. Yeah, I don't usually take a lot of breaks, to be honest. It's been almost 7 years now of every single Friday,
Oh,
except for
wow.
usually in December.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you're doing in investing. But this group has been around for a while. Its numbers have gone down a little bit because Intel has been going through some difficulties.
Hmm.
But we shall
Yeah,
see. It's top of the hour, and people are going to start joining in a moment.
sure.
How's the putting together the real estate AI summit meeting
It's good. It's
conference?
it's coming along, it's coming along well. Um, you know, yeah,
Who
I can't believe how quickly,
who do
you
you
know,
use for your marketing for that? Out of curiosity,
Orion.
what's that? Orion?
Orion. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump on my
Have you heard
email
of
here
them?
too, just in case. All right. Hello, Anita. Good to see you here.
Hey,
Thank you
Karen,
for
you're
covering for me while I was in Yellowstone.
oh, did you have fun?
Oh yeah, yeah, it was good.
Good. Yeah, I think we probably got to figure out how to get people access when you're not there sometimes.
Were there difficulties?
100%. Even
Okay,
even
well,
the
that's why
second
we
week.
wanted to form the leadership committee so we can have a group of people here, so it's not just a Daniel show.
Yes, yes. And I think the second week that I didn't do it, I think the same thing happened to the young lady. Was it Gwen?
Yeah, I need to figure out what happened there because from what I understand, she didn't show up.
I think she probably tried to show up, but she probably just
She
couldn't get
couldn't.
on.
Okay.
Because that's the same thing that happened to me the first week. It's like it doesn't let you on, and then I keep trying and trying and trying, and then it's like, okay, you can come on now. And then when I talk to other people, it said that that happened to them too.
Huh. That's
It
interesting.
was,
It's just a Zoom meeting and it's just wide open. Participants can join anytime.
I know I don't know why that happens. It actually,
Hmm.
when you're in the meeting, maybe you can take a poll and people can tell you like what has been their experience. Because I'm sure it's probably not just me or not just other people I talk to. Because I would love to know, like, what is, because you're right, it's Zoom. Everybody should be able to call in.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's, an administrator, criteria or approval or something like that. So, but yeah, we can get that fixed.
All right. Well, welcome everybody so far. We're going to wait for a few more minutes to let others join. And I guess the other thing that I need to do is ask the people that are out there, I need to find somebody to help advertise the group. Um, Intel, I know, has been going through hard times, and the layoffs at Intel have definitely caused a drop in the attendance of the group here. I'm not a natural marketer, I'm an engineer. So I need the help of somebody to market this as well. So I'll leave that out there as well. But we've got a great guest today. I think your topic is going to be talking about 100 doors in 100 days. Is that okay? And so I know that in this group we've had a fair number of beginner people in my last poll, which was kind of interesting. I thought that it was starting to get filled in by, mainly people that have been here for a long time. And there are those people that are there, but we're also bringing in a lot of new people, beginners. So we're going to come back and cycle around some of the topics that we haven't had in a long time. Some of the upcoming speakers that we've invited haven't been here in 4 or 5 years. And so we're going to come back and listen to what they have to say, as well as talk about just any topics that you want to talk about. So we're gonna go back to basics in a lot of our talks. We're going to be talking about residential real estate, commercial real estate, oil and gas, different types of funds. But we're going to keep it more on. I know some of the events had become fairly advanced in terms of the types of legal and financial activity that was taking place. And I think we're gonna have some of that, but we're also gonna bring back in the hey, I'm just getting started topics. So we'll wait for a few more minutes here. I'm betting since I sent out the invitation yesterday, it probably didn't get posted internally to Intel. So I'm wondering if that's affecting the attendance here. Good to see you, Gloria. Good to see you, Chris, Brooke, Satish, Anna, a lot of Manju, a lot of people I have seen here. Satish, is that you twice, or are there two Satishes here? All right. Hello. We'll get started in just 2 minutes. While we're here, why doesn't everybody take a moment and put into the chat where they're from, and tell me what topic you would like to hear the most of. So if you want to hear more on residential, commercial, or if you have a particular topic, throw it in the chat and let me know. And I'll start calling it out here. Or you can just say hi and where you're from. Hillsboro, Sacramento, Portland, Folsom. Folsom's still heavily represented here. I know for a long time, the largest number of people in this group were in Folsom. Portland, Gilbert. Hello, Gloria. Hello, Jellen. Welcome to the group. All right. Let's kick this thing off. Got pretty low attendance numbers here today, and that's okay. It kind of reminds me of when the group first got started. I feel from an advertising point of view, since Intel hasn't been doing so well, that I'm going to have to kind of start at scratch one and figure out an advertising strategy to build the numbers back up. Even at the beginning of the pandemic, we were at 300 people on this call at times. And then for most of the life of this, it's been around 150. And so we're just going to have to modify our strategy here. But with that, we've got a great person to bring into the conversation. We've got Rashmi, who I have just recently met. She is running a conference on AI and real estate, which is coming up in September. Feel free to talk about that if you want to. But she's here to present to us on a topic. And Rashmi, why don't I just give you the floor so you can introduce yourself and share a little bit with us. What do you do?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, thanks again for having me. This is great. And especially for those of you who are here, given that it's a Friday and, it sounds like you guys are, a lot of them are in the Pacific time, so it's probably just mid-afternoon for you guys. So thanks for spending the lunch hour with us. My name is Rashmi. I'm a real estate investor, operator. Like, many of you, really, I've spent, corporate. I most recently actually, left when I was at Amazon. I was in that same place. I know Daniel was talking about a lot of you and you too, sort of investing. And in all honesty, like, I was doing the juggling the career, the life, while thinking about real estate investing, and I kept saying, oh yeah, like, someday, I'll get to it. And, even before you know it, that someday is, already too late. Today, actually, what I'm going to, talk to you about is that sort of waiting, I think for me, came to an end. I stopped, like watching. And, today, really going to share about, how at least I considered that a win, a big win. I actually launched a challenge that helped me get to 110 doors. Just under 100 days, we were in an LOI accepted. Just want to say we didn't close on the property until much later, but we were in an accepted LOI stage, which was great. And, an LOI is basically, in commercial real estate sense, just a letter of intent that gets accepted. It's non-binding, but it at least brings both parties on an agreement that, we intend to move forward. Just for those of you who, don't know what an LOI is, more importantly, what I want to share with you guys today is really, the framework that came out of this challenge for me. Again, I didn't go into this saying, oh my God, like, here's a, like this is the plan, and I'm going to move forward with it. But, let me actually go ahead and share my screen here. Let me see.
And Rashmi, I know we had talked earlier about you wanted to know whether it should be more conversational or sharing slides, and I was just wondering how do you have a full presentation you're going to present here, or would you like me to jump in and make it more conversational as well?
I do have a presentation that I can walk through, but again, I want this to be conversational. So, feel free to,
Hmm,
maybe use the, raise the hand, ask me questions, like I'm sure things will come up and,
yeah.
you'd want to know. So yeah,
And
it's nothing fancy.
And
Um,
I know that most of the people here kind of know how it works here, but if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I'll act as a moderator, and Rashmi, I'll judiciously interrupt you at times when the questions, are appropriate and on point, and we'll go through and usually this group submits quite a few questions, so it's an active group.
yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, just a little bit about, about me before we kind of jump in, right? It's like I said, I kind of have the same, same sort of story as maybe many of you here. I did spend about 2 decades in corporate. I recently finished at Amazon, kind of learning, how to scale, how to build teams. I did all of that. What you won't believe is, in spite of all of this, having that experience, having that leadership experience, the management experience, when it really came down to real estate and doing, real estate as as an investment where I was taking, I want to say my hard-earned money and putting it into this, there was a lot of fear that was part of it. I hesitated. I kind of waited. I did consume a lot of content. It was a lot of podcasts. It's a lot of bigger pockets. If, for those of you who don't know what, bigger pockets is, especially in the real estate, space, it's actually, a website where they host, a lot of content and people come together. It's a big community. There's a free version, there's a paid version. But great resource library. That's really where I ended up getting a lot of the content and actually the podcast that they host, which is great. But honestly, I consumed all of that, but didn't really take action, right? Like every time it came down to taking action, I kind of second guessed myself and I stopped. But that actually changed for me during COVID. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a perfect deal. But, we had been looking, and I want to say we had like maybe 13 bids out that we had lost. And here it was, there was a, bid that we ended up, winning. It was a fixer-upper, a single family home. It kind of really forced me to move and take that first step, which was a big deal, for me. But once that deal was, sort of concrete and it was solidified and we had it now, we signed the document, we knew it was like real. But that actually, outside of all the learning that came from that particular instance, it actually gave me so much confidence to know that, yes, I can do this. And then I, went on to wanting to do bigger deals. So I actually did, um, wanted to do multifamily, which is really the path that, I wanted to be in. So I ended up joining like a mentorship program, and, ended up with, I mean, the mentorship program was great, but in all honesty, it actually didn't deliver what I was hoping to get from the program or what it even promised. But, that said, it was, I wanted to, I think at that point say, okay, well, I'm just going to cry that, it didn't work out the way that I'd envisioned, or I can do something about it. And obviously ended up picking the latter, which I'm so grateful for. I ended up leading like 100 days to 100 doors challenge. It sounds kind of scary, right? Like 100 days to 100 doors, like that's, like not easy. And for those of you who know a little bit about multifamily real estate or commercial real estate will, know what I mean by that. But I actually ended up launching the challenge. And, really, I mean, the pictures that are there are really that path, right? My corporate life to getting that, single family to then starting that 100 days to 100 doors and, ended up closing at the end of it. And I also have a picture of, like me at the top of Kilimanjaro, which was a big takeaway, like what I learned from this exercise of doing 100 days to 100 doors sort of helped me solidify that concept and, apply it to other things, and it goes back into sort of, like that consistency and, and so on. So just a proud moment for me that I felt like is worthy to share. Um, that said, like I said, didn't have a plan. I only knew that, yes, I wanted to do this, get to that 100 doors. So the only thing that I did was, put like an FAQ document together. And, and I put out a Google form. So this was a community, like I was saying, that I had joined, right? This mentorship program. So there was obviously the network, and I kind of tapped into that network and, posted that, whoever's interested, and wants to sign up, here's a Google form. That's really what triggered, the action. What I realized is that single sort of, step changed everything for me from that point onwards, because what I ended up doing is actually chose like that progress over, sort of perfection at that point. Because I realized most of the people who were in that group, they were literally feeling the same, kind of feeling stuck. They'd been waiting, didn't, they'd also consumed a lot of information, but didn't know, how to take that next step. And, so I'm sure each one of you, in this group, especially if you're looking at, investments and so on, I'm sure you're probably in the same place, right? You've done a lot of that research, you've gotten a lot of the information, but it's that first step that you take, which, can be the most scary, but also you don't know whether that's the right step, and waiting for that right, like time or the market or that perfect deal or, like more savings or, like more knowledge or whatever, like all of those, emotions are obviously what, like we kind of all went through together as well. Um, and, but what ended up happening from that is, like, I think Zig Ziglar says, you don't have you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. It's so true, because that one step actually propelled me forward. Even though I didn't have a plan when I started. In fact, when the challenge began, it was simply like I said, was sort of an outline of, like the Google Doc, and and just interviewing the folks who signed up and raised their hand to say yes, they want to do this.
Hey,
um
Rashmi.
yeah,
Oh, speaking of finding the way to start, we have two questions that are kind of along that line. The
yeah.
first one is what podcasts do you listen to, real
so
estate
i
or investing related?
Yeah, so I did, in the beginning, I did a lot of Bigger Pockets podcast with Brandon Turner and David
Mhm.
Green.
Beardy Brandon.
Yeah. And so I consumed that. Oh my God, I don't know how many episodes of it, because that was my drive. I used to commute into New York for Amazon. Yeah, that was my go-to. Uh, Now I don't listen to podcasts in all honesty as much as I do audiobooks.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of good audiobooks out there. Did you ever listen to the Best Ever Show? That
Yes,
was kind of a staple of a lot of people
that
too.
was
The
absolutely that
the
was.
real estate syndication show. There's some others out there that are really good.
Yeah. The best ever is, I've listened to, see, I'm not consistent with that. But, I end up going to, the audiobooks more, but, those have like some really good, content.
Yeah, you might as well throw out. And somebody's going to ask, what are your audiobooks you listen to?
The best ones that, well, right now I'm, just finishing up, uh, what is it? Buy Then Build, by
Hmm.
Walker Dybel. Has anyone listened to that or read the book?
I have actually, but
Yeah,
anybody
love it.
else? And
Yeah,
that's for people who are looking actually to buy a business.
correct.
In the particular case, they talk about value add business purchasing and how you can evaluate a business, and just like the real estate model where you buy an
Correct.
asset and you add value to it. In this case, you're buying a business asset and adding value to it.
100%.
So,
And very relatable, right? Very relatable to what we do, especially, what I do today with Oxstone Capital is we buy value add assets. So it's, the framework is very, very similar. You obviously, there are different nuances when it comes to underwriting, a multifamily deal, but um, a lot of the framework is very much the same.
mhm. And
Yeah.
I just looked up Buy Then Build. It's by Walker Diebel.
Oh, Debo.
And yeah,
Yeah.
Walker Diebel, and there's another similar one out there by I'm forgetting her name. She's a big influencer, but it'll come to me. Um,
Cody Sanchez.
Cody Sanchez. Yes, Cody
Mhm.
Sanchez, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah,
So she's another name to look up in that area.
that's true.
So, all right, the next question that we have here is from Rob, and he's asking, what group did you mentor with?
With multifamily mindset.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you like that? You mentioned a little bit, but I guess for somebody who's just starting, would it be a path that you would recommend?
Yeah, so it really just depends on, where you as an individual are. And, so I think a big lesson for me was, um, I was looking for a little bit more one-on-one mentorship. So, and this didn't quite, well, it had a component of it, but it wasn't quite. It was really a lot more geared towards people who had no experience whatsoever with, real estate. Um, so it kind of started from the basics, and I felt like, for me, I was a little bit further ahead. In fact, before I joined the program, I had, already started working on a couple of, properties that I was looking at in Connecticut and so on. So I was a little bit further ahead, than many of the people that are there. But in all honesty, today I am where I am because of, the network that came out of it.
Did
That's how, I put this challenge together. That's where people signed up, for this challenge. I met a lot of the sponsors, and it really sort of, gave me the opportunity to network and, meet the right people who, today are partners.
That was going to be my follow-up question. Is it a lot of places that offer mentorship aren't just for the education, but they're also for the network.
Correct.
And I was wondering, was this a good place to find potential partners and potential people to work with?
Yeah.
It was? Okay. All right, great. Good to know.
100%. I think, but again, I do want to say, right? Like it depends on, how much effort you put in. And
Yeah.
you're essentially just like any program, right? You're going to be able to, put in what I mean, you will get back what you put in. Um,
And even to follow that up a little bit more, but the people that you tend to attract as partners are going to be attracted to you because you're putting a lot in and you have value to add to the group. And
yeah.
so the better you are, the better partners you will attract in the business as well.
100%, 100%. But there are, it definitely changed a few things, right? For me personally, because it helped me put the reps in. Whether it was meeting the people and, I was in human resources and recruiting before. So, like dealing with people, working with people, helping people, that was a part of what I did. Anyways, so there was some component of it that I was very comfortable with. But it was also, now you're talking about a completely different language that you needed to speak, which is, related to investing in real estate, and whether you're dealing with a broker to get the deal, or whether you're dealing with a sponsor, or like you're negotiating terms with a broker. There is just a different set of skills that you need to build. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's you really have to go hone in on sort of your strengths. And and I know I'm sort of jumping ahead of like what I had for as part of the framework, but those were some of the things that were my biggest takeaway from doing this particular challenge.
All right. We don't have any more questions at the moment, so I'll let you continue with the presentation.
Yeah. Yeah, so getting into that, like I said, like a lot of the investors, and I was exactly like where many are, right? Like kind of feeling stuck. I'm definitely guilty for it, but I did all of these, like so if you're going through like analysis paralysis, like just, oh my God, I don't have enough time, like it seems like investing is like this full-time job. Let me just go, get someone to do it for me, or I want to do this, but I don't have the time. So I'll just, oh, I'm sorry. Hmm. There's some emergency alert. Uh, excuse me for that. But but yeah, going back to that. So it was always something like, oh, like it's just, the time constraint, or it's hard, and I'm alone, it's just me. I can't do everything. And and in real estate, it is a team sport. Because if you're trying to, go buy something, trying to go source a deal, underwrite the deal, finance the deal, and then asset manage the deal. Those are all very, very, like nuanced expert functions. You can do all of it. And, when I got into this program as part of this mentorship, I for the lack of better word, wanted to do all of it. One, I was like, no, I need to know, like, if I am going to be running a firm, and I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to bring in investors. For me, it's important to know everything. And, that's kind of the mindset that I had, which is true. I mean, you definitely need to know all the different components and how they integrate and work together, but you can't do it all. And that's just, like the truth. So if, in this group, you guys are feeling like, you're in that space where, oh my God, whether I'm, trying to, buy or invest in, in a deal, whether it's as a limited partner or as a general partner, right? It's, you still have to spend the time to understand the deal, to mitigate the risks, to even know that, okay, well, this is really what I want for my investment. And many of us are not even in that space. So I would say, it is a combination of all of it. But once you get sort of that clarity, it actually will help, propel that forward. So, does that make sense? Anyone have questions, on this?
I had a question. I wanted to ask you, you talked about feelings of feeling alone. Where did you find your current partners?
So when I put out, the form for people to, complete, there were 16 of them who actually signed up. And in the end, through the challenge, only 9 of us actually lasted at the end of it. A lot of and not all 9 ended up becoming, like formed a company and, became partners, but 5 of us did. And today they're all a part of the network that I was a part of, the mentorship program.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
No
again,
other
this is a
questions?
mentorship program, right? But I wanted to also add, like, if you think that, oh my God, like I don't want to go spend money on joining a mentorship program, and going that route, and I'm sure many of you are in that space. And if that's the case, that's okay. There are many other channels that are there where you can find partners. But the first step is just putting yourself out there, right? Whether it's on Bigger Pockets, like I've actually spoken to and networked with people on Bigger Pockets as well as on a lot of Facebook groups. And in fact, one of the sponsors that I'm currently working with is actually, someone that I had met on, a common, group, a networking group. And, today we're actually, looking at underwriting deals and, exploring opportunities. So you really don't know, but I think it's just, putting yourself out there, will help, to, I think, Daniel, your point about, attracting the right people.
What do you use as your underwriting tools?
So the mentorship program actually has like a underwriting tool that they have. It's it's
Spreadsheet?
just an Excel. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
it's just an Excel based thing. They we actually moved away. We have a baseline of Michael Blanc's tool that we
Mhm.
use, but we ended up tweaking it to some of the other, like we've added some sensitivity analysis and so on. But
Yep.
we use that as a foundation.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's a solid spreadsheet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we could obviously use it to a certain extent. Once your deal gets a little bit complicated, then, you can't use it anymore because the model doesn't support it. But, just for value add, underwriting, I think it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'll let you
Yeah.
go on to the next slide.
Yeah. So, all right. Let me tell you how we got started, right? Like I said, I realized something while I was talking to others, and while also reflecting on what I needed. Like I joined this mentorship program, I'd spent money, I'd been studying all the material. It was 6 months into it, and I felt like I was stuck. I wasn't moving. I wasn't making like the same sort of progress that I thought I would have made in 6 months, especially with the mentorship program, right? Like I thought I was going to be further ahead. Um, that's when it kind of hit me that, wait, like I am trying to do everything by myself. And, like in speaking to others, like I said before, one, I was not in this alone. There were others who were feeling the same way. And they were all consuming the same, information and kind of feeling a little bit, I want to say overwhelmed, right? Because they also didn't know or didn't own in on really what their strengths were. So as part of this realization, I was like, okay, well, what I want to do is put a team together so we can, like I can sort of, like if I'm a visionary, then I need an integrator who can come in and, so we can move this along. So I kind of tried to see what the gap was just in my own personal situation. And, and that actually helped move to that next step, where I moved away from all of that frustration and, like that analysis paralysis to like a plan. It wasn't, a solid plan, but at least, it kind of had like a goal, there was no roadmap necessarily, but it was, okay, like this is what I want. This is my weakness. This is kind of where I see it. So I decided to kind of put some urgency behind it and box it, which is why I said 100 days to 100 doors. And I'd also seen another friend of mine, from another group that I'm a part of, who I think had done something similar, but they were doing it to post information on social media. So I kind of took that as an inspiration and sort of made it my own by uh, doing the 100 days to 100 doors. I mean, that's how it was born. It wasn't a part of the course. It wasn't a mastermind. It was really just like a commitment, it was a challenge that we all came together, these, 16 of us when we started, that we said, okay, well, we're going to do this. I mean, literally, I just put an FAQ together, shared it with everyone saying, hey, this is kind of what the outlook is. This is the rules of the game. And that's how we, got started. But I'll tell you the biggest thing, and in all honesty, like, I think what it drove is that commitment. It's it, it really, I think, brought in, it was, like, I mean, think about it. It's actually, more than a business quarter. But it took a lot of energy, to actually move the needle because we were doing things related to, like acquiring a real estate asset every day. And, but once we like sort of announced it publicly, the way I felt is that held me accountable. I was in. There was at this point no turning back. Uh,
I
but
just saw your next slide that you're sharing your action framework, but I also wanted to ask you if you had any stories to share from the people that participated in your challenge.
yeah, well, let's see. There were many, when I think about it, we had someone who, I mean, when I talk about commitment through this team was such a solid team, right? Like, I mean, these partnerships that, came out of this challenge, like they were people who were just like strangers that I didn't even know. I just interviewed them and, like said, okay, well, we'll, all get in on this challenge. And we did this, we figured it out as we went along. As part of this process, the commitment from everyone, it's a different thing. I had the commitment, but if others in the group don't quite have the same commitment, then it kind of doesn't, work the same way. But the energy and commitment that the other members of, the group also had was just exactly the same. And I say that because there were folks who pushed themselves, like one of the partners, he kind of said, oh, I am going to consistently call 20 brokers every day as part of his acquisition, because he was a part of the acquisition team. And he said he set that goal for himself. I mean, he also has a full-time job. He is occupied, in spite of it, he set that goal for himself and he held himself accountable. And what was interesting is even when he didn't do it, he would not be able to maybe call 20, he would be able to call maybe 6 or 7. And that propelled us forward, just as an example. The group has had, like, someone had a baby during that time. He still, like, sh was on the call because he was our underwriter. And he was on the call, as we were underwriting the deals. We've had someone go in emergency and, they were on the call because they didn't want to miss it. They wanted to be a part of this challenge and they finished it. I mean, that was the kind of commitment that, came out of this group, which is is just amazing, right? I mean, it's very easy to say. I mean, I remember honestly, like, like there were dinners that I would go to because it was a set amount, set timing every day that we met. Because there were people from, like just different, there were a couple of them in the East Coast, there were a couple in the West Coast, there was one in Central Time. So it was really just different time zones, but we all, came together at a certain time. It was like 8 o'clock, which is a really odd time, in the East Coast because it's time, just after dinner. Or if you're out to dinner, it's, kind of, right in the middle of, that. But yeah, it was, just life. But, people really held themselves accountable, through this.
If how often do you run these challenges, and where would you recommend people finding challenges like yours and others?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So since, since this particular challenge, I've actually helped others within the community do this. And I think there are 6 other teams that actually initiated something similar and very similar. Like not everyone ended up closing a deal, but what they came out with is, because of the actions, they've now formed relationships with brokers and they have like, really solidified their underwriting, or they've been, recruited by another team to do underwriting for them. Or, they've actually formed a partnership and, moving ahead with, like other deals, or raised capital, or, like part of investor groups at others. So as part of these, like involvement, they have gotten to move a little bit, even though they didn't end up like closing a deal, like the way we did. But, that itself is momentum in the right step. And, like, um, I've helped them initiate it. So, absolutely, I can, if this team, if there's, this group is interested in, doing a challenge like that, can definitely talk about and help them, sort of, I have and towards the end, I have something to share. I do have like a starter kit that I can share, that, essentially is what we used. It's just a basic template, which helped sort of, manage and track our deals and, like really be deliberate about the actions that we were taking every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Feel free to go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Your action framework.
Yes. Yeah. So what came out of, this is really, the action framework, right? Like what going in, it wasn't that, I have this, in the mind, saying that, oh, well, this is my clear path, to green, to going and getting those, 100 doors. It kind of morphed into shape. And after sort of analyzing it, I realized we actually ended up following, what I obviously now call the ACT framework. It's really just three steps. One is really like, align, right? Like define your goals, have the vision, whether it's long term, short term, it's, what do you want from this? Is it cash flow? Is it, like freedom of time? Like, what are you looking for? And, if I know Daniel is an engineer, like, and I'm sure you guys are all sort of used to, reverse engineering, your strategy, right? Like you want something, you kind of go back and figure out how you can get that. And, again, it really, I think what I want to stress is be very, very, brutally honest, and have like a really clear vision. Um, I think that's really, excuse me, what I want to, stress. The other is, oh, I should have, grabbed my water. Oh, hold on a minute. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, while she's getting water, I would love to hear just any questions that you have for the speaker, and in particular, if you want her to send, her 100-day challenge out to you, or interact in some way, feel free to reach out to Rashmi. You'll probably leave your contact information at the end, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
100%. Yeah. And obviously the next is, commit. You know, we didn't just hope, to hit 100 days. We literally committed. We set a deadline. We started January 2nd. We had a clear deadline, April to, complete it. We made it sort of public, so it helped us, hold ourselves accountable. And again, finally, all of this is nothing if you don't take action, right? Like you need to really, every day, even if it's a small, move every single day, you need to make that, whether it's, calling a broker. Give me a sec. All right. Or it's underwriting a deal, whatever, you just needed to, take action.
What are the different types of people that you look for on a team? When you need to take action and you need to form a team in order to do it, you've mentioned underwriters, you've mentioned people that are calling brokers. Who else do you need?
So I think, the core team, when you're looking to put a team together, especially to, syndicate on a deal, is you need someone who can do acquisition. So that's essentially where, excuse me, your you're reaching out to brokers, you're, reaching out to sellers, you have a strategy mapped out to, go and, get the deals, right? Whether it's off market or it's, like on market. Those are basically all come under the, acquisition team. Then obviously it's, the underwriting team that basically underwrites, the deal. And then we usually do this with, asset managers as well. At least that's what we followed. And the other is, we had, the investor relations team. Essentially, they're the ones raising capital on the deal. And we had, again, not all of this is linear. We just need it. We need, the same set of people that ended up, working on different pods. We essentially had 3 different pods for the 3 different markets. That's the way we focused amongst the 9 of us. And each group had 3. That is, we had an underwriting team, we had the acquisition team, and we had, what we sort of, termed as a due diligence or market research team. So we were the ones who went and sourced all the data, all the information from, setting the property managers, interviewing them, qualifying them, qualifying sponsors, and as well as when it came time, we did, investor relations. These are people who actually go, raise funds for the deal.
All right.
So that's kind of what our core team was.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, again, like I was saying, align, oh my God, define your why, be sort of ruthless, about this. And, I want to say ruthlessly honest, right? Like, why are you doing this? Like I said, are you building it for cash flow? Are you building it for, to replace your income? Is it, like building equity over time, or you want, freedom from your W-2, you want better savings or to have a different, diversification strategy, whatever it is, be honest and outline what that is. So that will help you actually force things forward. If not, it's very difficult to get caught up, right? Because you'll have like the shiny object syndrome. Anything new that comes up, you'll be like, oh, why not this? Oh, maybe I should explore, infinite banking. Oh, maybe I should, go look at a single family. Oh, maybe there's an SDR. You're going to be in that space. And, I kid you not, like when we were in this challenge, we went through so many markets. Because we were like, oh my God, we're not getting deal flow in this market. Let's swap and look at a different market. And
what determined a good market for you besides deal flow?
yeah, so well, deal flow is not so much like a clear definition. But really what we look for is just whether it has like good rental yields. The population is like we're looking at a population of at least 100,000, for markets that we get into. And and then also, does it have, any sort of, big infrastructure, projects? Is the employment good? Are they big, employers coming into the market? Those are all, really key metrics that we look at, including others like, crime rate, what's the demographic, what's the earning capability, is this supportive of the rent growth that the market is seeing? Is it supportive of, the household, formation, for this area? Those are things that we assess before we say that's a market that, we want to go in and invest in. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so obviously, like Align was, was a big, step for us when we think back. And the other was, commit. And commit again, like I said, because it created this urgency, in the challenge. I mean, it's one thing obviously to set a goal, right? It's another to one say it out loud, within the community, once I told people I'm going to get like 100 days and 100 doors, like, even saying it to myself sometimes felt crazy. I honestly thought, oh my God, like I'm bonkers. Like, have I like lost my mind? It's, again, mind you, that I had been putting a lot of work prior to this. So it was a little, bit crazy, but it also felt real. That public sort of declaration, it also created this urgency. Like I knew we needed to, one, we met every day, we set deadlines, we created, pods, we checked in every week, we went back and assessed, and again, I'm a program manager as well. So one of the things that we did, we kind of adopted the, agile process. We kind of went back and, reassessed and, tweaked things as we went along. So there were some people who just couldn't cope up with it, and that's why when, we signed up, there were 16 of, us. And then in the end, there were only 9 who actually were able to keep up and finish it. Um,
We
that's
have
it.
a
Yeah.
Oh, we have a question from Brooke that
Yeah.
is asking about, now that when was this challenge, first of all, where you got your first 100 doors? That wasn't his question. His question was, since that time, have you continued to acquire doors?
Yeah. So we are constantly we completed the challenge last year in April, and we closed on two of the both those properties in one in July, mid-July, and the other one end of September.
Where
And
were they?
in Springfield in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're still underwriting deals. In fact, we have another property that we're currently underwriting also in Springfield. Um, we're just not sure if we're going to move forward with it or not. It has to make sense, but yeah.
hmm And we just got another question from Rob. I'm not sure I fully understand it, but maybe you'll understand it here. He says examples of meaningful consequences under raise the stakes. So he wants you, I think, to give examples of what you meant by meaningful consequences. Is
Um,
that
so like what's like holding you back? I think that was one of the things that, like if you don't do something as part of accountability or whatever, like, it was um you stop like making excuses, and finally you kind of raise the stakes because of that, right? Like, because you don't want to be in this place where, someone's asking you, oh, like what's holding someone back, um, or that you didn't send an offer, or, you didn't, do a certain task. Um, and that's essentially, what helped motivate people to follow through. Does that make sense?
I think it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think, like commit was obviously a big one. Then the next is, like take action. It becomes, like really real when you start taking action. Like the ideas are great, planning is great, but nothing really changes until you move, right? And in our challenge, we didn't just chase like, big wins. We literally focused on like one task, or one, I want to say like, meaningful task or an action every day. And, we were 9 of us. So we could essentially, if everyone did one thing, you know, we did 9 things that day, and so when we committed and we kind of regrouped the end of the day, we kind of analyzed what we did. We were able to analyze, pivot, whether it was messaging a broker and getting pushback, or I was running the numbers and, not knowing, what the actual numbers are, and you're coordinating with, like the brokerage, or, whatever the case may be, right? We did that one task that actually helped us move the needle. Um, and with 9 of us doing it, it was, sometimes it could be very small, but we did it with consistency. And that's really what created the momentum. Outside of that, we tracked everything. Um, we tracked our progress daily. We literally, I think at the end of this, we had underwritten, I want to say, 140 different properties. We had looked at 140 different properties. And but the thing with this about taking action is it was great even when we didn't win bids. We didn't win those LOIs. We were not the best and final. In spite of it, we celebrated some of these smaller wins because we were considered as being a part of, like the larger asset, and a broker was considering, our underwriting, and we were very close. So they gave us really good feedback. It could have been a slew of different things, but all of that added up. And one of the other things that came out of this challenge is, I kind of had, speakers come in and share sort of their experience, and, really strong operators come and share their experience, as part of our challenge, as well. So we had, mentors even within this challenge that we could go to in addition to the people that partnered. And we also had a sponsor who was part of this challenge. So it really helped, propel things forward and really held us accountable and, pushed us, to take those opportunities and take action. So this framework, in hindsight, really, I think helped us move the needle on, um, where we got to prioritize motion over, I want to say, like, perfection. And that was really the big win in the end. Yeah, I mean, as we've already talked, the results really is, so what happened after 100 days, we didn't just hit our goal, but we exceeded it, right? Like we ended up with 110 doors, across the two, multifamily properties that I talked about in Springfield. We didn't close, them obviously within the 100 days, but, we definitely had the LOIs accepted. At the end of it, I think the big takeaway for us was, we ended up raising, for both these deals, like we had equity partners that we brought in, then we ended up forming new partnerships, people who we literally had just met, 100 days prior were now partners, in this. They were co-investors. We were sharing deals, so it was, that was probably the best part, like, and again, outside of this, we also had unknowingly come up with, like a system that we had put together. We had a deal tracker, an underwriting sheet that we had, sort of made and tweaked for, things that we felt was important. We had our own system for underwriting and vetting, each of these properties. And the weekly sort of accountability rhythm that kind of kept the team, like moving forward. And even in those tough days, I mean, I kid you not, like they were those days where we would, whether it was a cringe moment, it was, like this awkward, moment. There was a lot of tension because things were not going the way that we had anticipated. But because we had, a team to fall back on, to talk through, to, go through some of these, it just made such an impact, and really compounded sort of, like the alignment and the actions that we were taking. It just made it more meaningful. But yeah, I think that was, honestly, like, m- like my biggest, takeaway from this, because now they were not just, like, investors. They had, they all had, again, W-2 jobs, kids, demanding, lives. Everyone had that. But, we didn't wait. We just took action and, like at the end of it ended up, coming up with, where it delivered, right? And at the end of it, again, it's likely that maybe this wouldn't have happened. But the amount of, learning that went on in that 100 days to each one of us, like we came out on top. Obviously, we closed on this, which was, great. It's a great win. But in spite of it, I think the learning and, like everything that came out of it was, still the same.
I love that takeaway. And I actually see that as one of the biggest and most important reasons to steady investment because or any topic that you want to throw yourself into, frankly. Because whenever you push yourself, you move yourself, you're improving yourself. You can take, investment or other fields, and if you're becoming better, you're pushing yourself to be better, then that's a way to help you grow as an individual and to grow with other people. And so let me say, we just have a little over a minute and a half left. Why don't you leave your contact information here so people can see it? And
Yeah.
we can take any last minute questions as well. But if not, when are you planning on running the next 100 Days to 100 Doors contest?
Yeah, so again, if I don't have a date necessarily, but if the team's interested, if there's anyone interested, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to sort of kickstart it for you. Um, and there's a QR code that I posted here. So if you want, you could scan that and send me your information, and I can email you the sort of starter kit that we have that I can share that with you. Um, that'll also help you with just getting started. And usually what I do is so if there are folks who are interested from this group who want to be part of a challenge, let me know. I'm happy to sort of put a team together. I've done that before. And and then obviously they'll be able to, because I think everyone's timelines and so on is different. I know there's another group that didn't quite do the 100 days. They did a 50-day challenge. So you can make it your own, but basically use the fundamentals to I think the key things is creating that urgency for yourself, putting a timeline, and understanding your strengths, and then being able to like get the partners who can complement you to move things ahead. I think that's
Te-
the biggest takeaway.
Tell
Anyway,
us a little bit about your real estate conference you have coming up too.
yeah, well, I on September 10th, I have an AI and real estate conference. That's it's a 1 day conference. We're bringing speakers, and Daniel, you're going to be
I'll
on
be
that as
speaking on
well. Talk.
hallucinations and how to minimize them. Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. I think, there is such a buzz, right, about AI, and there's I want to say a little bit of anxiety as well, because there's just so much, because it's changing all the time. I mean, you think that, you have you've decided on a tool, whether it's at work or it's not, it's very much the same even in real estate. So it's really trying to, educate investors and educate, others who are interested, in real estate, to really see what real estate, I mean, AI's impact on, real estate, and where sort of it's changing, what are things that, we should be aware of. It's really just an educational, summit. So,
Is it online or a particular
it's
location?
virtual.
Okay.
It is virtual. And if you fill out the form, then, I'll be sure to sort of send you guys the information, so you can,
All right.
go ahead and register.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for being here today, particularly on this Superman day. You could be off at the movie theater right now if you're a nerd like me. Um, can everybody take themselves off of mute and thank Rashmi for coming in and speaking to us today?
Thank you, Rashmi. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Rashmi.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Rashmi.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And we will see you again right here. I want to tell everybody here that we have speakers booked out all the way into March of 2026. So I took somebody's somebody's advice to go mail the previous speakers, and we have a full lineup, and I'll put that lineup online soon. But we'll have a meeting every single Friday from here on out for the rest of the year, except for after Thanksgiving and 2 in December. We'll talk to you all later and see you next week. Bye.